Imagine a private company that decides it wants more than profit. So it builds a private army of 260,000 mercenaries, twice the size of the British military. It starts collecting its own taxes, printing its own currency, throwing citizens into private corporate prisons. It owns entire cities, makes its own laws, declares its own wars, signs its own treaties with foreign governments, and the country that created it watches, does nothing. For over 200 years, this isn't cyberpunk fiction. This actually happened. Welcome to the Meridian. Today we are breaking down the terrifying history of the British East India Company, the most cutthroat corporation to ever exist, and how a small group of London spice merchants accidentally pulled off a hostile takeover of an entire subcontinent, and nobody stopped them. It started with spices. The year is 1600. A small group of London merchants walk up to Queen Elizabeth I with a simple request. "Your Majesty, we want to sail to India and trade spices." Elizabeth signs the paper. Done. That piece of paper, a royal charter, gave them something extraordinary. A total monopoly. You and only you are allowed to trade with India. Nobody else in Britain gets a look in. Now you have to understand why spices mattered so much in 1600. Pepper, cinnamon, nutmeg. These weren't just seasoning. They were the oil of their era, worth more than gold in European markets. Whoever controlled the spice trade controlled the global economy. So the company sailed east. They set up small trading posts along the coast of India, bought cheap, sold expensive, made a fortune. For the first 100 years, that's genuinely all they were, just traders. But then, one battle changed everything. June 23, 1757, the Nawab of Bengal, one of the most powerful rulers in Asia, has had enough of the company's growing presence on his land. So, he marches his army toward their base, 50,000 soldiers, war elephants, cannons, the full military force of one of the wealthiest regions on Earth. The company has 3,000 men. Everyone expects a massacre. But the company had been quietly doing something clever. For years they had been training their Indian soldiers, they called them sepoys, in European military tactics, tight formations, disciplined gunfire, coordinated cannon support. At the Battle of Plassey, 3,000 company men dismantled 50,000 Indian soldiers. It wasn't even a contest, and in that single afternoon, the East India Company stopped being a trading business. The Nawab of Bengal was gone. And a group of London merchants now controlled one of the richest regions in all of Asia. They had never planned for this, but they liked it. Here's how the playbook worked. Step 1. Find a local ruler who needs help. Maybe he's at war with a neighbor, maybe his throne is under threat. The company shows up with soldiers and says, "We'll help you, but we want something in return." Step 2. Sign a treaty. Take a small piece of land, a trading post, a tax collection right. Step 3. Wait. Then when that ruler dies or goes weak, move in. Sign another treaty. Take more land, more tax rights, more control. Step 4. Repeat. Within 50 years of Plassey, the East India Company controlled most of India. Not Britain, not the British government, a corporation with shareholders and a board of directors in London. They ran everything. Courts, prisons, tax collection, city administration. Indian subjects were paying £22.7 million a year in taxes, directly to a company, not to their own government, to a business registered in London whose only obligation was profit for its shareholders. Bombay, Calcutta, Madras. 3 of Asia's greatest cities, owned outright by a corporation. And to protect it all, that private army grew to 260,000 men, twice the size of Britain's military. The East India Company had become more powerful than the country that created it. But 200 years of squeezing a population has consequences. By 1857, the Indian people had been taxed into poverty, stripped of their industries and humiliated by foreign corporate rule for generations. The breaking point came from inside the company's own army. The Indian sepoys, the soldiers who had made the whole empire possible, turned their guns on their British officers. The rebellion exploded across India, city by city, region by region. For over a year the subcontinent burned. The company threw everything at crushing it. And eventually they did. But in London, the British government was watching in horror. This corporation, their corporation, had grown so powerful, so independent and so reckless with human lives, that it had nearly lost the entire country. So in 1858, they shut it down. The British Crown took India directly. The company's army was dissolved, its territories handed over to the government. 258 years after Queen Elizabeth signed that charter for a group of spice merchants, the East India Company was dead. Here's what I want you to sit with. Nobody planned any of this. A legal, government-approved, shareholder-owned trading company, started by merchants who just wanted to sell pepper, ended up ruling 200 million people. It taxed them, imprisoned them, went to war for profit. And when things got too complicated, it handed the mess to the government and walked away. The East India Company didn't just conquer India, it wrote the original blueprint for how a corporation can quietly become more powerful than the governments that created it. And if you look at the world today, some people would argue that blueprint never really disappeared. This is the Meridian. If this story hit you, like this video and subscribe. Every week we follow the lines that change the world.